Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Liam Douglas here, and in today's video of Photography 101, we're going to be talking about shutter speed and how that affects your images. Now for today, I'm coming to you from Elmira, New York. We're up north visiting our kids and grandkids and our moms for a couple of weeks. So I'm shooting this video in New York State. Now remember to check out the Liam Photography podcast. Subscribe to the podcast on your favorite podcatcher, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, or any of the others that are out there. And make sure you subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon so you can be notified when new videos release. So in today's video for Photography 101, I'm going to demonstrate shutter speed and how it affects your images. Now, if you're new to photography, and you're trying to figure out how you can shoot moving objects, let's say motorsports or just traffic if you're doing street video or something like that, and you want the object that's moving to be tack sharp, in focus, and frozen in time, more or less. And you can do that with shutter speed. Now, if you wanted to create a still image that shows some motion, in other words, you want the moving object to have a blur effect, then you would use a slower shutter speed, like maybe 1/60th of a second or 1/100th of a second, something like that. But if you want to freeze the action, then you've got to use a faster shutter speed. So then you're going to have to bump things up to like 1/1000th of a second or 1/2000th of a second. Now, it's too early in the year yet, so I don't have any hummingbirds I could demonstrate with, but let's say you wanted to capture a picture of a hummingbird at a feeder on your property or something like that, and you want it to be able to freeze the hummingbird's fast-moving wings. A hummingbird's wings move extremely fast, but if you turn your shutter speed up to 1/2000th of a second and then snap your photograph of the hummingbird as it's eating at your feeder, you'll find that when you preview the image on the back of your camera or later on your computer, you'll see that the hummingbird's wings are frozen in time, and they should be as sharp in focus as the rest of the bird, depending on how you have your focus set up. If you're doing area autofocus, or if you have a single point autofocus, then it may be, their wings may be a little bit blurred, but at least you will freeze them. Where if you wanted to photograph the bird, but leave the action effects of its fast-moving wings in your still image, then you could use a slower shutter speed, and you could get the face, the eye of the hummingbird in sharp focus, and the wings would have a blur effect to them. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you today using the X100V that Fujifilm was nice enough to loan to me, and I'm going to hook up my Atomos Ninja external recorder to it so that I can record video as I'm showing you how the shutter speed changes affect the final results of your images. So let's go ahead and take a look at that now. I'm just going to use some random traffic here in the Elmira area, and I'm going to show you what happens if you shoot at a lower shutter speed and you get the blur effect as the vehicle is passing by, or if you use a higher shutter speed so that you can freeze the action and get the car perfectly still in your shot. So let's go to the X100V and the Atomos Ninja now for that portion of this video. Recording here on my Ninja, and we'll go ahead and we'll get some test shots of moving traffic here along the road. So we're just looking for a vehicle that's moving that we can photograph at a low shutter speed. I've got the shutter speed currently set at 1/30th of a second. And as you'll be able to see from the image, the vehicle is going to be blurry. Now, if I go to a faster shutter speed, let's say, let me turn this up a bit because we want to freeze the action. So we're going to turn the shutter speed up higher. Okay, we got it at 1/1000th of a second, but now we're going to need a little more ISO to brighten things up. Oh, just shooting a video for YouTube. I apologize about that. Sometimes people on the street will ask you questions while you're out filming. Okay, so now we're going to find another vehicle here. And we shot that one with 1/1000th of a second. And you'll be able to see in the photo that the action of the vehicle was completely stopped. And the vehicle would be more in sharp focus than it would be if we were doing the slower shutter speed. So let me go to an even higher shutter speed, 1/2000th of a second. And we'll do this again. Pick another vehicle at random that's coming down the street here. And we'll get a shot of it as it passes by. And there you have it. So there you have demonstration of what shutter speed can do to moving objects. Whether the objects come out clear or if they come out with a blur effect, all depends on your shutter speed. Now, in addition to this, you can also use the shutter speed to freeze other types of movement as well. So if you wanted to photograph running water, like coming out of a faucet or down a waterfall, with a higher shutter speed, you can freeze that action as well and be good to go. Okay, so for this part of the demonstration, we can use a fast shutter speed to freeze moving water. So I'm using a shutter speed of 1/2000th of a second, and we'll get a couple of shots here and you'll be able to see the effect for yourself. It is pretty cool, all of the things that you can actually accomplish by adjusting the shutter speed on your camera. You can get some really cool still images of fast moving objects. Okay, so now hopefully you have a better idea of how shutter speed can affect your images. How you can either show blurred motion by using a slower shutter speed on a moving object, or if you turn your shutter speed up high enough, you can actually freeze the object so that you get a tack sharp image as if the object was sitting still. There's a lot of other things you can do with your shutter speed. You could freeze water like I showed you in that portion of the video. If you were at a waterfall, which I don't have one nearby, unfortunately, I could have demonstrated that better. Now, in the next Photography 101 video, I'm going to demonstrate daytime long exposure photography using what's called a neutral density filter. Now, believe it or not, in a daytime long exposure, you're actually going to keep your shutter speed really slow. I'm talking seconds that the shutter will remain open, like 10 seconds or 20 seconds or 15 seconds or something like that. Now, the reason why we're going to do that in the next video is so that you can see for yourself how a slow shutter speed can also alter the perception of objects that you're viewing. So with a slow shutter speed, you could actually make a body of water, even on a windy day, if the river or lake is choppy, you can make the water as smooth as glass by using a neutral density filter and doing a daytime long exposure. You can also get some cool effects with waterfalls. You can make the waterfalls water look like cotton candy. It'll be smooth and silky, and it also affects how clouds appear in your photos as well. If it's a windy day and the clouds are moving fast, you can alter the how they look by using a ND filter and doing a long exposure. I apologize for getting a little tongue-tied there. And I thank you for bearing with me as I'm out of town, like I said right now in this video. But I wanted to still get the video out for you so you'd have the first three in my Photography 101 series: ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, which are the three components of your exposure triangle. All right, now remember to subscribe to the channel. Watch the videos, comment on them, like them, share them out on social media. Hit the little bell icon so you can be notified when the next video drops. And I'll see you all in the next video.